Tigers baseball on Fox Sports Detroit is presented by
Bell Tire.
Concluded, I decided that Brad Dossman should be our manager going into 2016, and also we're going to keep our staff going into next year. So that's what I came to announce.
That announcement made at 3:45 today. General Manager Al Avila says Brad Ausmus will return in 2016 as we welcome him to Comerica Park. Game 2 in this weekend series featuring the Tigers and the Minnesota Twins. Hi again, everyone. Welcome to Tigers Baseball. Mario and Pemba alongside Rod Allen. Glad you're with us here tonight for Game 2 in the series. Big news at the ballpark today, Rod. Brad Ausmus will return, and certainly a big sign of confidence there.
You know, Al Avila is the new general manager, and he felt like it was unfair to judge Brad on what happened this season. They lost 3/5 of their starting rotation due to injury. They had a lot of kids come up from the minor leagues, and they felt like Brad, they gave him a 3-year deal. He's the right man for the job. 2 years ago, they want him to continue to be their manager.
Well, certainly the Tigers are playing their best baseball down the stretch here. They've won 7 of 10. Rajai Davis, he's been a big part of that.
I just kind of love Rajai Davis and the way that he has played the game of baseball. He has simply been in the middle of just about everything positive that the Tigers have done. On Tuesday, he hit a big triple down in the right field corner. That was a game winner. That was against Zach Duke of the Chicago White Sox. And then one last night against Glenn Perkins, a closer. Former closer of the Minnesota Twins, hung a breaking ball. That was a ball that was off the plate. But look at this smile by Rajai Davis. This is what you love about the game. He is smiling from ear to ear as he rounded first base and got into the dugout. That's a very happy dugout, and it's really good to see that team perform that way.
Tigers trying to keep it rolling tonight. After a short break, we'll send you back to the Call Sam Studios. Check in with Trevor Thompson. Meanwhile, tonight, Simon says he wants win number 14. Will he get it? We'll find out next. Tigers, Twins coming up. For 2016, here is the starting lineup. Meanwhile, for the Minnesota Twins, the team who will face tonight. For the Twins, it is brought to you by the Metro Detroit Chevy dealers. Dozier, Mauer, SANO, the top three hitters. Plouffe is batting cleanup. Eddie Rosario had a big game in yesterday's game. Hunter, then Hicks and Suzuki and Escobar rounding it out for the Minnesota Twins. As Brian Dozier stands into the batter's box under, again, beautiful skies here tonight. Temperature about 70 degrees at game time. And we are ready for baseball. The first pitch of tonight's game is swung on and missed.
And Brian Dozier back in that leadoff spot for Paul Molitor. The last number of times the Tigers have gone up against the Twins, it's been Aaron Hicks who's been their leadoff hitter.
Dozier sits safely in his last four. The 0-1 pitch sails over his head and all the way to the backstop. That one got away. 1 ball, 1 strike. Tigers a comeback win last night, dealing the Twins a major blow as they try and creep into the wild card picture. Houston already won today. Of course, Rajay had the big hit last night, the home run for the game winner. Here's the 1-1 pitch. 2 balls, 1 strike. Dozier last night 1 for 3. He's knocked in 72 this year. No sky, that one in the air, but foul down the left field line. 2-2, and they are facing Alfredo Simon tonight, presented by Family Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Alfredo Simon making his 30th start of the 2015 season, checks in with 13 wins, looking for number 14. The ERA is shade over 5, sits at 5.21. The opponents are hitting .280 against Alfredo Simon.
Here's the 2-2. Drill toward left center field. That'll get down. Base hit. Dozier taking an aggressive turn, going to go for 2. Here comes the throw. It's going to be late, and a double with a headfirst dive for Dozier.
The first 4 fastballs that Alfredo threw to Dozier in this pitch sequence were all upstairs. He went back upstairs with a 93-mile-per-hour fastball. We told you last night, if you were listening, Dozier's an outstanding high ball fastball hitter, and he turned on it for a hustling double.
38th of the year for Dozier. Quick scoring opportunity for Minnesota. Here is Joe Mauer batting in the 2 slot tonight. Ball 1 to Mauer.
And Joe Mauer usually likes to hit the ball the opposite way, but in this particular situation with a runner on second and nobody out, Joe Mauer will be trying to hit something towards second base or into right field.
Mauer last night was hitless. He did have a sacrifice, and his long streak came to an end. There's a rocket hit right by the second baseman Kinsler. Hit too hard to score the run, so Dozier will go to third.
Joe Mauer usually does not turn on balls that aggressively, but he had in his mind what he was going to do. He was going to get a base runner who was on second over to third base, and you could see him catch this baseball out in front. And because he was trying to pull it in, he hit an absolute missile right past Kinsler.
First and third now for Minnesota. That'll bring up Miguel Sano, who is batting third tonight.
Twins come out a little angry here today.
Well, they really couldn't feel too good about letting one get away last night. The Tigers fell behind 4-0 and ended up winning that game 6-4.
Tigers also made 3 errors in the game. You usually don't win games where you make 3 mistakes.
Terry Ryan said after the game last night that they're running out of calendar. They cannot afford to let games get away like they did last night. And they've come out swinging the bats. Sano was 0 for 3 last evening. Ground ball left side deep in the hole. Bobbled there by Machado. Has no play. Everybody is safe.
Machado had a lot more time than he thought he had. With Sano running out of the batter's box, he simply should have taken his time and got in front of this baseball, and that would have allowed him to make a more routine play. He basically played that into an error. Plenty of time to get in front of it, to give Kinsler a real nice feed, and then if they get the double play, that's fine, but if they don't, at least they got the lead runner.
1-0 Minnesota. That'll bring up Trevor Plouffe. Still nobody out. So the Tigers commit another error after getting 3 of them last night. There's a strike called on Plouffe. SANO will get an RBI on the air by Machado. The breaking ball misses up and in to Plouffe. 1 ball and 1 strike. Alfredo Simon's last start was against Kansas City, a loss. He gave up 8 runs, 13 hits against the Royals. Little chopper again to Machado. Pretty much the same play. He'll fire to second one and a double play. 6, 4, 3, 2 gone.
And Trevor Plouffe has hit into more double plays than anybody in the major leagues. Nice routine hop there to Machado. Outstanding feed and also real nice turn by Ian Kinsler.
2 gone now with a runner at third base. Here is Eddie Rosario, who very nearly hit a grand slam last night. Hit one off the wall in right center with the bases loaded, driving in 3. He'll look at ball 1 inside.
Rosario has a very quick bat, and his bat gets through that hitting zone in a hurry, and because of that, 12 homers this year and a lot of extra base hits.
He also made a pretty gutsy call last night, Rod, tacking up on that pop up to second base and scoring from third.
It was gutsy. Ian Kinsler was a little nonchalant. If Ian comes up anticipating that Rosario might be trying to tag up there and score, he'd have thrown him out easily. But Ian was not anticipating it. But you have to give Rosario some credit.
2 balls, 1 strike.
Here's that plate last night. Kinsler only about 4 or 5 feet on the outfield grass, but take a look at Kinsler's actions here. Very nonchalant, on his heels, takes his time. He didn't think Rosario was going to continue to run. And then when he started to run, he kind of panicked and he bounced the throw to James McCann, and McCann couldn't pick it.
Very aggressive play that made it 4-0, but it would not hold up. Rosario trying to drive in a 2-out run here.
I don't know about you, but that might be the shallowest sacrifice fly I've ever seen in a big league game.
Yeah, I think it is for me. There are the updated standings. We mentioned that Houston won today. They had to hold on to beat Texas 9-7. So right now Minnesota 2 out, the Angels 1 out. Baltimore has lost today, so their hopes are fading quickly. There's a drive into deep right field down the line. It is hooking foul.
I don't even know why they're messing with Rosario, to be honest with you. They got a base open, and no disrespect to Torrey Hunter, who's in the on-deck circle. He's had a fabulous year. But this kid right here, Rosario, has worn Tigers pitching out all year. So if you're Simon and you continue to pitch to Rosario in this situation with 2 outs and a base open, you can't afford to make a mistake.
.355 versus Tigers pitching this year for Rosario. And he pulls it on the ground to second. 1 hopper to Kinsler, and that'll retire the side. Minimal damage done. Twins will settle for 1. Tiger starting lineup tonight is presented by the Southeast Michigan Ford dealers, and it features Anthony Gose at the top, followed by Ian Kinsler at second base. Miguel Cabrera is at first. Victor DHing. Then you got JD Martinez, Nick Castellanos, bottom three, McCann, Machado, and how about Rajai Davis on this homestand? 8 for 17. They are facing the right-handed offerings of Tyler Duffy.
And Tigers saw Duffy when they were in Minnesota about 10-12 days ago. He's been outstanding this year in 8 starts. He's 4-1 with a great ERA. You can see he is striking out a batter just about every inning he's pitched this year with a really good tight curveball that he'll throw at a couple different speeds, and he'll feature a lot of curveballs this evening.
There's ball one down low to Gose, who gets us started for the Tigers. Anthony 1 for 4 last night.
Duffy's fastball tops out about 93 miles an hour. We told you about the curveball. He also will feature an occasional changeup.
Bouncer to second, knocked down by Dozier. Gose out, one gone.
Tim Hortons will sponsor the starting defensive alignment for the Minnesota Twins this evening. Hunter, Hicks, Rosario on the outfield. Escobar, Dozier up the middle. Dozier making his 150th start this season at second base, which leads the major leagues.
Well, here is Ian Kinsler, who's batting an even 300. 9 hits on this homestand for Kinsler. This homestand, 2 games remaining tonight and tomorrow, and then it's on the road to close out the year. Ball 1 to Ian. One ball and 1 strike. Kinsler has scored 93 runs this year. He's trying to get to the magical 100 plateau, which is what the guys try and reach, especially guys at the top of the lineup. He has done that 5 times in his career, and he needs 7 more runs scored to get there again. The 1-1.
Ian Kinsler has had a really nice big league career. 8 years in Texas, making all-star teams, playing in World Series. 2 times, 30 homers, 30 steals in a season. So he's been one of the best in our sport for the last decade at his position.
He'll shoot that one the other way. Found a hole, base hit to right field.
Stop it, Ian.
A 2-strike single as he goes the other way, as he's done many times this year. The Tigers now at 1 on, 1 out.
Every time Ian decides to swing the bat these days, he's making some good solid contact. That was a fastball, a four-seam fastball that was down right at the glove of Suzuki, and he just took a nice easy swing and sliced it right past the second baseman Dozier.
Here's Miguel Cabrera.
Man, was that great concentration. Nice 2-strike approach there by Ian Kinsler. One more time, take a look at how still he is. 2-strike approach, not much movement. Look at the head, though. The head doesn't move until it gets to contact. Picture perfect with 2 outs. Excuse me, 2 strikes.
Miggy batting .337, leading the American League. Breaking ball drops in for a strike. 1-2. Tyler Duffy in the month of September has made 4 starts. This is his 5th. He is 2-0 with a 2.19, and a lot of it because of that breaking ball there, although that one appeared to be a little bit outside.
He will throw that breaking ball at a lot of different speeds, too, which makes it a devastating pitch.
1-2.
Second time the Tigers have seen Duffy, though, so I would imagine that quite a few of the guys will go up there sitting on a breaking ball or 2 early in counts. You can't do it with 2 strikes, but you can most definitely do it when there's runners in scoring position and early in counts, because Duffy throws lots of breaking balls in those situations.
Tigers are the first team that Duffy is facing for the 2nd time. Runner goes, and a bouncing ball foul. Kinsler on the move, will turn back and head to first base.
We'll see if Duffy's one of those guys that makes adjustments, or if he's going to force the Tigers into making an adjustment against him, excuse me, because he had success against them the first time around.
Here are the numbers in that first start against the Tigers. He threw 96 pitches and struck out 7, allowing just 1 run.
It's about every one of his strikeouts came on the breaking ball.
Missed it inside that time. The count evens now 2-2. Duffy is 24 years old, native of Houston, Texas. Kinsler draws a pickoff throw by Duffy.
They say that more than likely this will be Duffy's final start of the season. Now, he came in with 183 innings already pitched this year in a couple different levels. He pitched 149 2/3 last year, so he's probably gone further this year than they wanted him to.
Slow roller towards short. He'll fire to second one. Relay gonna be in time. That's a double play. 6-4-3, and we go to the second. Brought to you by Comerica Bank. Raise your expectations of what a bank can be when it's time. Come to Comerica. Ram trucks, come in and get a great deal. The best trucks during Ram Truck Month. And by Mario Olives. Taste the difference. Alfredo Simon goes back to work. Torrey Hunter drills one in the gap in left center, but Rajai Davis runs it down. 1 pitch and 1 out.
And Torrey tried to jump on the first pitch fastball thrown from Simon, knowing that he wants to stay away from that splitter. And that Simon has featured so frequently this season. And Simon's got a slider, he's got a curveball, he's got a changeup, he's got a splitter, he's got that eephus pitch. You name it, Simon's got it.
Here is Aaron Hicks, who was in the leadoff slot last night, but he is bumped down to 7th tonight for the Twins. And a ball outside, 1-0. Hicks was 0 for 4 last night, yet he still has multi-hit games in 3 of his last 5. That's in there, and strike called, and 1-1 now on Hicks. Pretty good numbers against the Tigers, 317 this year.
Yeah, 251 against the rest of baseball.
Little number hit slowly to first base, and Miggy tags the bag for the out. 2 up, 2 down.
Let's take a look at the Tigers starting defense presented by Beaumont Health. Davis, Ghost, Martinez in the outfield. Castellanos, Machado, Kinsler, Cabrera in the infield. James McCann has caught 23 runners this season trying to steal. Most by an American League rookie since Lou Morrison in 2010, who caught 26.
There's Kurt Suzuki now. McCann having a tremendous rookie season for the Tigers. He'll be entrenched as the #1 next year behind the plate. Suzuki, the veteran catcher, was 0 for 2 last night. Average now at 239. A little bit of power. 5 homers. Swing and a miss. 1-1.
Man, it looks like Simon's going to elevate that fastball quite often to a lot of these right-handed batters so far here this evening.
Here's the 1-1 pitch. That bends high. 2 balls and 1 strike. Really has been an up and down year for Simon. I mean, he's had some really tremendous starts. The one hitter comes to mind. But there's so many starts in which he's given up double-digit hits. Gave up 8 runs in his last outing. The 2-1. Grounded towards second. Kinsler to his left. And Alfredo has a 1-2-3 second inning. Deposits are now being accepted for 2016 Tigers full and partial season ticket plans. Call 313-471-BALL or visit tigers.com. Big announcement coming today that Brad Ausmus will return next year, and Al Avila, the general manager, executive vice president of baseball operations, will join us in the top of the third. We'll talk about that decision, talk about the future of the organization, the direction of the organization.
It's been a very busy 2 months for Al since he has taken over the general manager's position. He had to hire the staff that he wanted to retain, and now the decision that he has made to bring Brad back, which means when they go to the general managers meetings here right after the season's over, he's already got his manager. He's got one less thing he has to accomplish.
There's a strike called on Victor Martinez. He'll start things off here. Victor, then JD, and then Nick Castellanos. It's 1-0 Minnesota. Here's the shift that most teams will play against Victor Martinez. That bends in for a strike on the outer edge, 0-2.
And Duffy is fearless with his curveball. He will throw that breaking ball at any point in time, in any count. He will throw it with no strikes. He will throw it with 2 strikes. Comes another one of those benders.
Victor last night was 1 for 4. He's had 7 hits on this homestand. Had a few milestones reached this year. Miguel Cabrera hit his 400th home run earlier this season. Well, Victor earlier on the homestand hit his 200th homer. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
I believe Ian Kinsler had a milestone as well, 1,500 hits.
Correct. Yeah. Where are the Venezuelan-born players in the home run list?
I don't know for sure, but I have a feeling that Miguel will never be caught.
You're probably right. That'll get back into the seats quickly. 2-2 on Martinez, who gives a look to make sure everything's all right in the seats. Martinez, the DH again tonight. Martinez taking his time getting back into the box. Now the 2-2. Bouncer foul, third base side.
It always bothers the players when they hit a ball into the stands the way that Victor hit that ball into the stands, and it happens to hit someone.
Here's a bit of a movement of foot to extend the nettings down the third and first base line, and I think eventually, Rod, we're probably going to get there.
I'm all for that.
Bouncer against the shift, and he found the left side of the infield wide open.
We talked about Victor last night and the fact that whenever he gets ready to beat this shift, he can beat the shift. They're playing Victor to pull, but every single pitch, with the exception of one that Duffy threw to Victor Martinez, was away from him. And you're not a 300 career hitter batting left-handed unless you can hit the ball the other way. So Victor just decided to beat the shift for 2 strikes.
It'll be the second hit the Tigers have picked up. Here is J.D. Martinez. Tigers knocked into a double play in the first inning, ending any possible threat. That one missed inside, 1-0.
JD's going to have a really nice shot at getting to 40 home runs this year. The next couple of ballparks the Tigers play in are very hitter friendly. And the ballpark in Texas, the ball simply flies to right center field, where JD has tremendous power. And U.S. Cellular, the ball flies out of there as well.
1 ball and 1 strike. Martinez stretching out a little bit. .37 home runs, 98 driven in, but just as importantly this year, I think an average that really has never dipped below 280 for most of the year. And Duffy missing inside, 2 balls and 1 strike.
JD really only had 1 stretch this year where he went 0 for 26, I believe, with about 16 strikeouts in about a 2-week span.
He didn't panic, did he?
Nope, he didn't. Got it back together. Brad continued to play him every single day until he got out of it.
Ground ball to third, foul. Hooked one of those breaking balls. Hey, stay tuned to Tigers Live following the game, where we select the Fox Sports Detroit Tigers Player of the Game, presented by McDonald's Steak and Egg Burritos. 23 home runs last year in his breakout season in the big leagues, and he's gone well beyond that this year. Slow roller towards short. They'll only get 1, it appears. That's it. And JD is aboard in the fielder's choice, 1 out. It's another ground ball that Duffy has gotten. He's gotten a few of those already in this game.
He's using his curveball very effectively, but he's also using a good 2-seam fastball that he was able to jam J.D. Martinez with on that last ground ball. He also jammed Miggy to get a double play ball off of Miggy's bat when Miggy was in the batter's box on that same 2-seam fastball inside.
Castellanos has hit safely in 5 in a row. And Nick now with 71 RBIs, a career high. Bender is fouled off 0-1.
And when Al Avila was talking about some of the reasons why they decided to bring Brad back, he talked about James McCann. He talked about Castellanos, some of the younger players that are getting better. Verhagen has emerged in the Tigers bullpen.
Bullpen's got 3 guys that not many depended on at the beginning of the year. Hardy and Wilson and Verhagen all pitching really good baseball.
Right.
The 0-1 pitch almost hit him. 1-1 on Nick.
Well, you wonder if he'll go back inside with a two-seam fastball, or if he just was using that pitch to get to the next pitch, would be his curveball.
One on, 1 out. We're in the second. The Twins got a run in the first inning. Fielding error by Dixon Machado. Backed him out of there again, so he came back in there. 2-1. There is McCann waiting on deck. Righties this year batting just .205 against Duffy. It's lefties that have had better luck. .282.
He's got the really good breaking ball. He also has some life on his fastball. Once he starts to develop that changeup, his numbers might increase against left-handers. A lot of times when you have the two good pitches, you're going to dominate the right-handers, but you'll have trouble with one side.
He spins another one outside. 3 balls and 1 strike.
I believe in that start that Duffy had against the Tigers in Minnesota, he threw about 48% fastballs that night, 52% off speed. Looks like he's headed that way again here this evening.
Sure does. I mean, he's throwing quite a few breaking balls that are spinning up there, so he's at least on that pace, it appears. 3-1. Soft line drive to left, base hit. Castellanos able to muscle it out to left field. The Tigers have 2 aboard with 1 out.
It's a 3-1 two-seam fastball here thrown by Duffy that was barreling in on Castellanos. Castellanos was able to get his hands close enough to his body and then generate enough bat speed to fight it off into the outfield for a knock.
Second Tigers hit it this inning, 3rd for the ball game. They have 2 on for James McCann, batting .267.
And McCann hitting .267 overall, but he's really had a nice year against Minnesota Twins pitching. Probably better against Minnesota than any team in the big league so far for McCann.
Another breaking ball, surprise, surprise, 0-1.
And there are those numbers for James in 9 games against Minnesota. A homer, inside the park variety, his first career home run, and also batting .333.
Popped him up. Shallow center field for Aaron Hicks. 2 gone. And that leaves it up to Dixon Machado.
Any word on Andrew Romine today in that groin that he left the ball game with last night?
I did not get any word. We were so wrapped up in talking with Brad. The clubhouse was actually closed before the game today, so we were not able to get to Andrew, but there he is.
Andrew really has played some outstanding baseball in the month of September. He's gotten most of the reps at shortstop.
Yeah, and he's really stepped up.
He really has.
With Iglesias hurt. It's a breaking ball fouled off, 0-1.
And Romine has done the kind of things that if you're Brad Ausmus going into 2016, you've got your backup infielder. He can play all the positions. And the bat and perked up in September with consistent reps.
259 overall for Romine. Here's the 0-1 to Machado. Swing and a miss. 0-2 on Dixon. 1 for 3 in the opener last night. Machado an all-star this year at Toledo. And the 0-2, and he did not go fishing out there. Duffy hoping he would chase, but no such luck. Two singles in this inning have left runners at first and second. And he went strike 3. Machado is out, and that'll end the threat. No runs, couple of hits to left. Al Avila will join us when we get to the third. You're watching Tigers baseball, presented by Bell Tire. Here, and Mario and Rod back here at the ballpark, along with Al Avila, the Executive Vice President of Baseball Operations and the General Manager of the Tigers. And, well, for you, Al, I think an exciting day today. You've decided that Brad Ausmus will return. You made the announcement earlier today. What, in your mind, was the one deciding factor for you, or was there just one factor in bringing Brad?
Well, there's a few factors. First of all, Brad is a very hard-working guy. He prepares very hard for every game. And he's a very detailed person, and you really have to be down there every day with him to see what he does.
Ball line to the gap in right field. It's going to get by Martinez, go all the way to the wall. This will probably leave Escobar at third, and he'll cruise in there standing up. Leadoff triple for Escobar.
That's why I like to do these when we're him. But yeah, he really takes to heart the preparation, every little detail. But one of the things that I think is most important is some of these young players that we've got here now. He's taken a personal interest in working one-on-one with these guys. In the clubhouse, you see him talking to them. On the field, he'll throw BP to him in the cage, and he's just there giving that personal touch. And if you see him day to day working with these guys and how they react to him, you would see why he's a positive influence.
Dozier hits a high fly ball to left center field. Rajai Davis going back, and so is Gose, who will make the catch. That'll be deep enough to score Escobar, and it's 2-0 Twins.
Al, how important was it for you to get Brad's situation sorted out to make sure that he knew he was coming back, heading into the general manager's meetings, also going to the winter meetings in December? How much did you want your manager to be a part of everything that you're doing?
Well, it's very important. Actually, that was a very heavy burden on my shoulders the last 2 months. It was really a tough time for me because, you're talking to a lot of people around you. Hey, I talked to Kirk Gibson downstairs in the clubhouse about Brad, Jim Leland. They endorsed him to me. They thought that he was doing a great job. They like him a lot. They think he's a real good manager. And so those kind of conversations. Not only that, but my own staff. I've talked to all the players. Not that you talk to a player by asking, hey, do you like your manager or not, but just by you get your general sense of what's going on. Being here every single day, from morning to night, you guys put in those hours too. You get the sense that these veteran players back him. They believe in him. The young players, you know, they're attracted to him, and so you get this general feeling that moving forward, that he will lead this team fine, and that these players will be reacting in a positive way towards him.
Al, how much is the fact that this team is playing hard now? Obviously, they're out of the race, but they continue to go out there, prepare every day, and try and win games. And they haven't kind of thrown in the towel this year. That, I'm sure, had to count for something. Well,
that's a reflection, again, on the manager. It's a reflection on the staff. I love this coaching staff, too. I think Dave Clark is a potential manager. I think Omar Vizquel is a potential manager down the road. I wouldn't be surprised that within time they'll be interviewing for managerial positions themselves. You know, Wally Joyner has done a hell of a job with our hitting, and Jeff Jones is, with these new pitchers that we've gotten here, has done a marvelous job with Norris and Boyd. You can see how much better they've become once they've got here. So, you know, the staff has a lot to do with how the players perform. At the end of the day, the players, you know, have to own up to their own efforts and to their own performances out there, and that's the way it goes. And it's up to the staff and the manager to call them on it when that doesn't happen.
Miguel Sano, the batter, he looks at a ball inside, 1 ball, 1 strike.
And what will be your first order of business once you get into the general managers meetings and also the winter meetings this offseason?
Well, just like you mentioned, you know, it was important for me to have our manager in place and our staff in place moving forward.
The base hit for Sano to left center.
We, as soon as the season is over, around the middle of October, we'll bring in our major league staff of professional scouts. We'll bring in our advisors like Jim Leland, Alan Trammell, Al Kaline, guys like that, and our manager, obviously. And
that's a pretty nice list of advisors.
Yeah. And then we'll go over every single major league club, their strengths, their weaknesses, what their needs may be, and how their needs may match up with our excess, or our needs may match up with their excess, and see if there are any trade possibilities with those clubs. And we'll throw those names up on the board. In saying that, we'll also take a look at all the free agents that are available out there, and we'll rank those by preferential order based on our needs. Starting pitching, relievers, any utility type players, or any extra bats. We'll use some analytics and trying to get some, you know, under the radar, lower cost type players. But at the end of the day, we'll try to put together a list of names that we will go after, whether it be free agency or trade wise, once those meetings are over. Once that's done, I'll have my assistant GMs make some phone calls, get some feelers out, and get that going for the GM meeting. So when we get to GM meetings, then we can continue some more conversations.
Yeah, you talked about analytics. I know that you want to put some emphasis on that, but you've also told me in the past you're not going to abandon your scouts either.
No, actually, we've increased our scouting. We're in the process of adding 3 more major league scouts, and obviously that will always be the backbone of our organization. That'll be, you know, our go-to. Everything else is just information that to help you make a better decision.
Simon ready with the 1-2 to Trevor Plouffe here. And a swing and a miss to strike him out. Well, Al, congratulations on your announcement today. Going forward, wish you all the best, and we look forward to a great 2016.
Thank you very much, Mario.
Thank you,
Rod. It's always a pleasure. Thank you.
That is Al Avila as we head down to the bottom of the 3rd here at Comerica. We're having a discussion the other night on moon phases, Rod. Now, this is a pretty easy one to tell, I would think, right? This would be a
full moon, right?
Full moon. Excellent. Nicely done.
Anything beyond that, I can't help.
Well, I was just sitting here in amazement that Gibby knew all that kind of stuff. Well, here we go. The Tigers down by 2 now as Duffy goes back to the hill. It'll be Rajai Davis to lead it off, and he takes strike 1. .259 for Rajai, 8th home run of the season in last night's ball game. 1 ball, 1 strike. Davis goes Kinsler, 9-1-2 for the Tigers. They had a threat going in the second. A couple of runners on, did not score though. Slow bender drops in. Davis could not pull the trigger.
And Rajai Davis also is a free agent after this season's end, and he's finishing up strong. A lot of scouts in attendance watching the Minnesota Twins. It's always nice to play well down the stretch.
Here's the 1-2. High fly ball to right field, slicing toward the stands, and Torrey runs out of room.
Speaking of right field, he got him a hanging breaking ball last night from the 8th inning guy. Now that would be Glenn Perkins, and Rajai reached out and hit the ball over the 330 sign for a big home run, and it turned out to be the game winner. Look at that smile.
It's a kid's game, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
The 1-2. Swing and a miss. Davis is out, 1 away. The second strikeout for Duffy. That'll bring up Anthony Gose.
It's nice of Al Avila to come up and join us and tell us a little bit about what went into the decision process of making sure that they retain their manager, Brad, who signed a 3-year contract anyway.
Well, it's certainly going to make the offseason a little bit more tame now, that's for sure. The Tigers have one less thing to put on their plate. There's a chopper foul, 0-1. Brad led the team to the postseason last year. This season, injuries really threw up a couple of roadblocks for the Tigers and their success, yet through it all there were some problem areas like the bullpen that struggled this year.
And really 3/5 of the starting rotation has been lost. Green pretty much all year after a real good April. Verlander spent a couple of months on the DL before making his first start. And Sanchez has been off and on. It's tough to win when you don't have your starting rotation.
Yeah, you know, the Sanchez thing is a pretty good point because, you know, you really didn't know what to get out of Green or Simon. They were newcomers to the system, but Anabal's been a little bit up and down, and now certainly on the DL, unable to help at the end of the year.
You have not had a healthy Victor Martinez pretty much for 6 months straight. You've lost Iglesias now for the final month of the season. They've had a lot of different issues this year. It's been an odd year for the Tigers.
Now Duffy's 1-2. High, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Ian Kinsler waiting on deck. Little tapper, first base line. Duffy will handle it himself. And there are 2 gone. Well, earlier today we had a chance to catch up with Ian Kinsler and get his thoughts on Brad Ausmus returning next year.
I'm happy. You know, we have our manager for next year. There's no question marks. There's nothing you know, that we have to worry about going into the offseason. We know what Brad brings. Obviously the season didn't go the way that he wanted it to go or the way we wanted it to go. You know, but it's nice to have Brad back, and I think we all know where he stands.
Here is Kinsler now with 2 outs. I think a lot of the veterans, really a lot of the younger players, kind of took it upon themselves as well, Rod, for the difficulties this team's had this year.
Yeah, everybody's looked themselves in the mirror, and there are a lot of guys that realize they haven't had their best years. A lot of guys will go into the offseason. They'll spend about a month kind of thinking about what has happened this season before they get back to the grind and start getting prepared for 2016, because the team clearly underachieved. There's no question about that.
Tigers, with a win tonight, would get their 73rd win of the year. They came in at 72 and 81. There's a strike call.
Which means they have to run the table to get to stay at 500. Get to 500.
Yep. One more here tomorrow, then 6 on the road. Of course, there is that possibility the Tigers have to play that makeup game after the season is over against Cleveland if the Indians are still in the race and that game means anything.
I think I heard something where the Chicago Cubs already have a makeup game on Monday. And before they'll probably have to travel to Pittsburgh and play them on Tuesday, I believe.
Here's the 3-1. Ground ball to third. A tough short hop for Plouffe. And Duffy has himself a 1-2-3 third. Let's go to the fourth. Hashtag Detroit Data Strong Fan. You just might see yourself in an upcoming broadcast brought to you by T-Mobile. We are headed now to the top of the fourth inning where the Minnesota Twins have a 2-0 lead. And it's going to be Eddie Rosario to lead it off. Rosario grounded out his first at bat. And he'll look at ball one outside. 49 RBIs, third among rookies in the American League. 12 home runs as well. He's got a lot of outfield assists, a lot of triples. Can steal bases. That's foul back out of play. Oh, look who made the list, Rod.
Yeah, he got on there. He's got 44 extra base hits. He's got 49 ribbies, a WAR of 2.4. That would be Rosario. SANO also on that list, Carlos Correa, and also Francisco Lindor. I think Francisco Lindor is the one guy that everybody is talking about right now that might be the front runner, since Correa has struggled a little bit lately.
However, Correa did hit 2 homers today.
Did he?
So I think this last week is certainly going to make a difference. Here's the 2-1. Fly ball left field. Rajai Davis back. And one away here in the fourth. So you have Lindor right now?
I have Lindor right now.
I think I'm going to go with Correa, but this final week certainly will prove important, I think.
All 4 of those gentlemen that we just showed you on that graphic have had really good years. And the one thing about all 4 of those guys, not one of those guys was in the big leagues when the season began.
No. Pretty impressive. Torrey Hunter takes ball 1.
And Torrey loves to hunt the fastballs. And more than likely, he's going to get a fastball here from Simon. And he'll be hacking.
On the outer edge.
And a split-fingered fastball there at 85 miles an hour. and disrupted the timing of Hunter. He could not pull the trigger.
Ripped to short, doing his splits. Machado, and he held on to the baseball.
It's nice to be young, isn't it?
To be able to do that, yes.
Yes, indeed.
And then immediately stand up.
The young James Brown out there.
See, you and I could probably do this. Now it's a matter of whether or not we can get up after it.
And be too embarrassed to get it because the pants probably would bust. Split.
Right down the middle. 2 up, 2 down now for Aaron Hicks. Did you just drop a James Brown reference?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. Young James Brown.
Hicks bounced out to the first baseman, 3 unassisted in his first at bat.
James Brown was doing the splits when he was about 50 in them high heel shoes.
Yeah, he was. It's amazing.
James Brown.
Here's the 0-1. Hicks now 0 for 5 in the series. Twins got a run in the first, fielding error by SANO, or was SANO at bat, fielding error by Machado. Drove in a run, and then a sac fly by DOZIER in the third after a triple by Escobar.
It's a nice frame job there by the youngster, James McCann.
His manager, Brad Ausmus, was one of the best at doing that in his playing days.
And Brad, when he sees James McCann, he probably sees a little bit of himself when he was a young catcher.
Here's the 1-2. Skip in there. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Suzuki waiting on deck. Twins trying to hang around the wild card chase. Here's the 2-2.
And so far, Aaron Hicks doing a very nice job of laying off that split-fingered fastball that Simon continues to throw him at about 82 miles an hour. Hey, you might as well throw him another one. See if he can lay off of it again. And here it comes.
Swing and a miss. And the inning is over.
And he couldn't lay off of it.
No runs, no hits, nobody left. We've got 3.5 in the books. Simon strikes out Hicks. Tigers face these Minnesota Twins at 1:08. It's Sunday Kids Day, and all kids 14 and under receive a free Anibal Sanchez bobblehead. If you'd like tickets, call 866-66-TIGER or visit tigers.com. Well, the Tigers trying to get the bats going here now in the 4th inning. It'll be Cabrera, Martinez, Martinez. They have the middle of the lineup coming up against Tyler Duffy. Duffy got the Tigers 1-2-3 in the 3rd. He's retired 5 in a row. Ball 1 to Cabrera. Miggy bounced into a double play in his first at bat. And he looks at a strike on the inside part of the plate. Ball high, 2-1.
Here's where Miguel Cabrera might just sit on a curveball. Yeah, because Duffy throws so many. Miggy's such a smart hitter. He might sit on one for one pitch.
Heater up, 2-2.
91, threw it right by him. And he almost swung at that like he was looking for something else.
Line drive, base hit, right field. So Cabrera has a leadoff single in the 4th.
We're going to make that our bell tire pitch by pitch. Duffy starts him off with that real slow breaking ball, and he's done that to a lot of the hitters. Then he comes back with a fastball for strike 1. Then another fastball, 2-1, right by Miguel. Then he tries to throw that breaking ball to Miggy, and Miggy watched the contact just like Ian Kinsler did when Kinsler got his base hit. Look at the stillness of Miggy's head. It doesn't move until contact is made.
Both sides now have 4 hits. Victor went against the shift his first time up. They're playing him straight up now with a runner at first base. That breaks low and away, 1-0. Duffy would like the ground ball double play here. He'll spin another one outside. 2-0 now on Victor. Mentioned Tyler Duffy, a native of Houston, Texas. Played his college ball at Rice, which is in Houston. Fifth round pick out of Rice. Now the 2-0. Bouncing ball foul just outside of the bag at first base.
And pretty good fastball count here for Victor. Even though Duffy throws a lot of breaking balls, if you're Victor, you still have to be sitting on your fastball.
Three and one. Tigers had a leadoff single in the 2nd and ended up with a couple of base runners on with 1 out but couldn't score. They've had at least 1 base runner in 3 of the first 4 innings in this game. 3-1 pitch. High fly ball. Right center field. Hicks is on the move. And Cabrera retreats 1 out. Well, join us again tomorrow. The Tigers wrap up their series with the Minnesota Twins. Our coverage begins at noon with Tigers Live, Tigers and Twins tomorrow at noon right here on Fox Sports Detroit. Our final telecast from the home ballpark this year.
Where has the season gone?
You seem to say that every single season, but at the end of the year you wonder where the summer went. And has escaped us again.
Yes, indeed.
Here's J.D. Martinez. He drives one toward left field. Rosario is on the move, still going back, can't get it. It'll bounce over the wall and back into the bullpen for a ground rule double for J.D. And Cabrera has to stop at third base.
That is the 31st two-bagger of the season for J.D. Martinez to go with his 37 homers. He got that first pitch fastball, four-seam variety that was outside on the black, but he was able to get to it, and he hit an absolute bullet over the head of Rosario that bounced into the bullpen.
So here's Castellanos now with one out.
In these situations, Castellanos loves to swing at the very first pitch. And I think the league kind of understands that now about Castellanos.
Breaking ball, and he went after it anyway, 0-1.
And when you know a guy is prone to swing at the first pitch, a lot of times as a pitcher, you will not throw a pitch that's that inviting. Case in point, a really good breaking ball there thrown by Duffy that Nick could not hold up on.
There's another one, same result. Two well-located breaking balls in the first two in this sequence to Castellanos.
Well, here's a grip and a ball coming off of the fingertips of Duffy. And he gives you some sidearm angle. He gives you high three-quarter slot. Different velocities, different speeds, different breaks on his curveball.
So you're going to go back out there again with a breaking ball?
He might as well.
Yep, but this time he bounced it, and Castellanos would not chase.
Now here's where your Castellanos, you cannot get caught looking for a breaking ball. Even though you might have a pretty good idea that Duffy's going to throw you another breaking ball, you still have to be ready for your fastball. And if you do not have that approach, he's going to be able to throw the fastball right by you. Suzuki is such a veteran catcher. Wouldn't be surprised if that's exactly what he went out there to tell Duffy. And by that last take of Castellanos, he might be sitting on your breaking ball now.
1-2. Nick had a single in the second. Threw him another one, and Castellanos just got a piece of it.
All four of the curveballs that he has thrown to Castellanos in this plate appearance have all been really good breaking balls down and away. And from Nick, he has not made a mistake with a breaking ball yet, which is rare for a guy that throws as many as he throws.
You would think sooner or later one of those would be left on a platter, right? Another one.
That was a little bit better one to hit. Castellanos knows it.
Nick trying to get this runner in from third with less than 2 outs. He's at about 57% this year, which is above the major league average of 50%. Miggy started things with a single, a 1-out double by J.D. Martinez. He came in with a fastball and he just missed his spot. 2-2. In the air to left center field. It's going to drop, base hit. 1 run scores, and they're going to hold Martinez at third base. Meanwhile, Castellanos takes second. And it's a 2-1 ball game.
And Duffy finally made a mistake with one of these breaking balls. It's a knuckle curveball, and it's sitting on a platter, as you said, Mario, for Castellanos. He hits the ball in the left center field. I'm shocked Victor Martinez did not score. Victor must have thought this ball was going to be caught, by Hicks.
It's a double and an RBI. Castellanos taking that extra 90 feet. So Martinez at third and Castellanos at second.
Excuse me, that was J.D. Martinez who was on second base, who I thought should have scored on that base hit or that double.
It's a pretty good bat there by Castellanos. He fell behind 0-2 and was having trouble picking up that breaking ball. And as he mentioned, he finally left one out over the plate. And he got enough of it, took advantage of it. Cabrera singles to start the inning and scores. By the way, 72 RBIs now for Castellanos. Here's McCann. And it's in there, a strike.
Let's take a look at J.D. Martinez on second base. You see where he's at. He has to know that that ball is going to be caught. He slows up, and then by the time he gets to third base, Dave Clark is forced into holding him up. That's why it's very important for you as a base runner when you're on second base.
Driven to center field on a line. Base hit. That'll get the tying run in. It's an RBI single for McCann. A 2-2 ball game. 3 straight hits for the Tigers.
It's a nice job here by James McCann. He looked to get himself a breaking ball as well. And just keep the line moving, boys. Just to finish that thought on what I was saying about a base runner at second base, you have to, after every pitch, take a look around you to see where the outfielders are playing, if they've moved. If they do move and the ball's into the outfield, you kind of know which balls are going to land in for base hits.
So Duffy in home games has an ERA of 1.5. Not quite as good on the road.
It's almost like their entire team. They play very well at home, but they struggle when they leave Target Field in Minneapolis.
Another long inning for Duffy. 20 pitches. He's up to 71 for the game now, and still only 1 out. Dixon Machado tries to bunt, lays it down, and they'll throw him out at first base. The runner at third, Castellanos, held, so that'll put him at second and third.
That had to be a safety squeeze. And whereas if Machado does get the ball down, then Castellanos will try to score. You can see that Castellanos, he does not break until the ball is on the ground, and then the ball did not go far enough for Castellanos to score.
2 gone now with men at second and third and an opportunity for Rajai Davis. That's in the air to center field, going to be playable. Aaron Hicks under it, and that is that. But the Tigers get 2 to tie this one up. the sponsor of Fox Sports Detroit. Bell Tire, get the lowest tire price, period. Bell Tire. Myers, save big with M-Perks from Myers. Sign up at mperks.com. And by Chevrolet, find new roads. Well, we have a new ball game. It is 2-2 as we go to the top of the 5th here at Comerica Park. Single by Miguel Cabrera started the 2-run rally in the 4th inning for the Tigers. RBIs for Castellanos and McCann. And as we go to the 5th inning, it'll be Suzuki, Escobar, and Dozier. Two runs, 7 hits for the Tigers. 2 runs on 4 hits for Minnesota. Alfredo Simon goes back to the hill. Alfredo had himself a 1-2-3 4th inning. Suzuki leads it off, and he'll look at ball 1 outside. He'll be followed by Escobar. So you've got the 8 and 9 guys leading off here for Minnesota as we go to the 5th. Suzuki bounced out back in the 2nd, 0 for 1. Way outside, 2 balls and 1 strike. Houston won earlier today. They had to hold on, though. They brought a big lead into the 9th inning and ended up winning 9-7. That Texas team, man, offensively, they don't quit.
The Texas Rangers had beaten the Houston Astros in their last 7 meetings.
Here's the 2-1. Slowly toward 3rd, foul.
Last weekend, before the 4-game series that Texas swept the Houston Astros, the Astros were a 1.5 games in first place. 8 days later, the Texas Rangers 4.5 games in first place. That's crazy.
Yeah, we say that all the time, but that's how quickly it can happen.
I mean, crazy.
In the month of September, and it certainly has for Texas.
And especially going head to head.
Two and 2 on Suzuki. Pulled foul. Well, for Minnesota, we mentioned this certainly is a critical series for them as they try and stay in the race. 3-game series here against the Tigers. Then they go to Cleveland and close out the year at home against KC. Soft line drive, base hit left field. Leadoff single for Suzuki. 5 hits now for Minnesota. Here's Eduardo Escobar, who tripled to the gap at right center field his last time up. Escobar's had himself a career year in a couple of different categories. 11 homers and 54 driven in. Those are both career highs.
He had a good year last year, but when the season began this season, Danny Santana was their everyday shortstop, and they were just trying to find places for Escobar to play. But he has basically taken over that shortstop position with his offense lately. Danny Santana kind of fell off the map, didn't he?
Yeah, he really did. And I kind of like Santana. He had some good games against the Tigers.
Played well in center field, even though he was a shortstop by trade. And then they gave him the everyday shortstop position in spring training this season, and boy, did he struggle.
And even when you talk about a guy like Kenny Vargas, who when he came up, man, all they could talk about was he was a little mini David Ortiz.
Right.
Could hit with power, and he's kind of fallen off the map. He's on the club right now here in September. That'll go foul.
It really has been fascinating, the job that Paul Molitor has done this year. I mean, when you think about it, how many teams are in contention that really have not had an everyday shortstop all season long? I mean, they've had 3 different shortstops.
So I assume he's getting votes in your Manager of the Year voting.
Oh yeah, he's in that conversation for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Texas, Bannister has done a great job there.
Hinch, he's done a nice job, even though his team has stumbled down the stretch.
Oh, 2 on Escobar. Way high, 1-2.
Yeah, McCann wanted that ball up and in, but he did not want it that far up. And when you get yourself in an 0-2 situation, you at least want the hitter to think about swinging the bat. Now that pitch right there that Simon threw way up, Escobar never even thought about swinging. Leo, yeah, he wants that ground ball on this split-fingered fastball here.
He'll get a ground ball. Miggy, nice play. Fires to second one. The relay, not in time. Man, they almost got it. Nice play by Cabrera, quickly firing to second.
And ball hit sharply. I thought this was 2. Miggy reaches over to backhand and he goes down to one knee. Then he fires a strike to Machado. Miguel able to get back to the bag and cover it himself, but not before Escobar crossing the bag. Miguel's only made 4 errors all season at first base.
Here's Brian Dozier now as they flip the lineup back to the top. Dozier with a sac fly, a double, and a run scored. He doubled to start the ball game, eventually scored on the air by Machado. Ball 1. For Dozier, it's been a really good year when you look at his power numbers. 28 homers, 72 RBIs. But again, that average has hung around the 240 range for much of the year. He's at 242 right now. Strike called, 1-1. The 72 RBIs, a career high. 5th in the American League in extra base hits with an even 70 now. Now the 1-1. Bouncing ball to third. Castellanos, he'll go to second. Kinsler with a relay. That is a double play.
Yep, they got it that time.
5-4-3 Tigers baseball presented by Bell Tire. Fantasy Camp is on sale now. Play ball with Tigers greats in Lakeland, Florida. Camp includes a salute to Jim Leland and the 2006 American League champions. For more information, call 313-471-2550 or visit Tigers.com. The Tigers Winter Fantasy Camp.
That should be a lot of fun this year if Jim Leland's going to attend, because you know that he will hold some court. He'll be doing a lot of talking and telling a lot of jokes, I'm sure.
That Jim Leland guy is kind of entertaining.
He really is.
Got a lot of stories. Anthony Ghost leads it off. Duffy back out there after giving up a pair of runs to tie the ball game in the fourth. Ghost, Kinsler, and Cabrera in the Tiger fifth inning. It is pulled foul down the first base line. Anthony in the ball game, couple of ground balls. One was hit right down the first base line that Duffy picked up and took himself. Anthony has hit safely in 16 of his last 20. And he straightens him up, 2-2.
Anthony also pretty much has been getting all the starts in center field in the last month or so.
Got him, strike three on the outside corner. Ghost is 0 for 3 tonight, one gone.
It's a fastball at 93 miles an hour that was sinking, tailing, but Suzuki held it there long enough to get the call. And from the home plate umpire tonight, Mr. Jim Reynolds.
Third strikeout of the ball game for Tyler Duffy. Here's Ian Kinsler, a single and a ground out in this game. He spins in a breaking ball. There's another one and a swing and a miss. When that thing is located where that last one was, man, he's awfully hard.
And the Tigers know they're going to see that breaking ball, because we told you when they saw Duffy about 10 days ago, and 52% of the pitches he threw were breaking balls. But very few of the guys have been able to barrel that pitch up. They've gotten some hits, but they haven't hit it very hard.
Fastball away, 1-2.
And he's got enough fastball to keep you honest. 93, 94.
Down to Rochester this year, an ERA of 2.5 for Duffy in AAA ball.
Rochester Red Wings.
The 14th best prospect according to MajorLeagueBaseball.com. Number 6 right-hander. That's in the Twins system. Here's the 2-2. Pulled right to the third baseman, Plouffe, 2 gone. Did you play in Rochester at all?
I did play 1 year in Rochester.
What'd you think?
It was a nice city. It was nice. It wasn't bad. We lived in a place, I believe, called Henrietta, New York. It was real nice. A little suburb.
Of all of the minor league cities you played in, what was your favorite? Can you pick one?
I had the best fun in Buffalo.
Buffalo.
Buffalo was the most fun I ever had playing a minor league season.
Well, they had packed houses, right?
Every night, man. Played in the Rock Pile, Memorial Stadium.
Strike one on Cabrera.
Steve Swisher was our manager. Dave Clark, Tigers' third base coach, was on that team.
Really?
Yep.
Here's the 0-1. So tomorrow I need to go to Clarkie and get some good stories on him.
He might tell you a few, but then come ask me some on him, though.
I'm sure you got a couple.
Yeah. And then make sure you tell him before he answers. I'm going to go ask him about you, too, though.
Yeah, you both will keep quiet then. That's no fun.
No. Dave could hit, man. #1 draft choice of the Cleveland Indians. Once he got to the big leagues, he was a pinch hitter for a long time and a real good pinch hitter. Man, he had some power.
Here's the 1-2. Miggy fouls it away. Well, we mentioned that Brad is coming back, but I guess we failed to mention the that the entire coaching staff is coming back too as well with Brad Ausmus. So that's a vote of confidence for guys like Dave Clark, Wally Joyner, Jeff Jones, Omar Vizquel. Here's the 1-2 again. Almost hit him 2-2.
I also ran into Al Avila out in the hallway, and of course he was on with us earlier, and he wanted to remind me that Dick Egan and also Scott Reed, a couple of senior advisors now on his staff, will also be at the general managers meetings and the winter meetings.
Here's a base hit for Miguel, who again goes the other way. The 2-out single. Well, we caught up with Brad Ausmus and got his thoughts on coming back for 2016.
Well, I'm happy to be back for sure. I mean, it's been a disappointing season, like Al had said, but I also think the core group that is here affords the opportunity for a quick turnaround.
Yeah, and I think we both agree with that, Rod. I mean, you bring everybody healthy back next year, you've got a pretty good starting point.
You really do. I mean, it starts with Miguel. You have to be encouraged with what Justin Verlander has been doing lately. Of course, we talk about McCann, we talk about JD, we talk about Norris. They've got some nice pieces to build on going into 2016.
And I even thought Matt Boyd pitched well yesterday as well, despite that one inning in which he had to wait.
He is making some positive strides.
Yeah, I agree. Victor rolls one slowly toward first, but he banged it off his foot 0-1.
Although Brad really hasn't shown it lately, you know, it's probably a weight off his shoulders to know exactly what's going on in 2016 when he goes home next week. He knows he's coming back as a Tigers manager, and so he can stay in that same frame of mind.
I will say this about Brad. He has pretty much kept the same demeanor from day one till the end of the season, even when the reports came out that he would not be coming back.
Yeah, he doesn't tip his hand too much, does he?
No, not at all. Here's the 0-1. Way outside, 1-1.
At least Leland used to share a post-game meal with us every now and then.
Whether we wanted it or not.
You have to love the skipper, man. I love him.
Chewing on chicken while he's answering questions.
He liked us.
And Leland always used to say, you know, I got to stop eating during these interviews, but he never would.
Yeah.
He never would. Pulled foul down the right field line. I remember we had a game in Boston, and the night before we had interviewed him in the post-game show, and there, you know, there's food flying all over the place during his interview. And Jim said, you know what, I looked at that interview last night, and I got to stop doing that. Yeah. I have to stop eating while I'm doing the interviews. And that lasted maybe one day.
It's like we were sneaking up on him or something.
Exactly.
Game over, you do the post-game interview.
You got to love the skill.
No, he's a beauty, man. He is an absolute jewel in this game.
And the 1-2. It is low. 2 balls and 2 strikes. So Duffy's pitch count now is up over 90. He's had 93. And we're only in the 5th inning. 2-2 tie between the Tigers and the Twins. Fouled away. Victor alone will drive your pitch count up. Martinez a single and a fly out in this game. Alfredo Simon gave up 1 in the first, 1 in the third. His teammates tied it up in the 4th. Pulled foul down the right field line. Goes Souvenir. She's getting it up. That's pretty good.
Usually it's the other way around.
Yeah.
She might be flirting with him. You never know, man.
Just cut to the chase.
They teach him young.
Martinez is out. Nothing comes of the 2-out single.
I see you. She done messed him up.
with the baseball.
How about that? That is beautiful, man. That is beautiful.
2 great smiles and a great memory. It sure is. That is funny. Here is Joe Mauer stepping in. It brings us to our Bernstein advantage, the pitcher-batter matchup. And we'll look at Joe Mauer against Alfredo Simon. Career now 3 for 15.
Simon's done a pretty nice number on Joe Mauer. That's just a 200 batting average with 1 double. He does put the ball in play. Mauer also swinging at a lot more first pitches these days, so you just can't lay that first pitch fastball in there like you used to.
Mauer bounced out in his last at bat, had a single to the first. We mentioned earlier tonight that his long streak came to an end last night. He had reached base in 43 straight games, a Twins record, but he was not on base last night. 0-2 on Mauer. MVP back in 2009. He's made 6 All-Star games or teams. Here's the 0-2. Skied in the air to center. Playable for Ghosts. 1 out. Game break time now. Trevor Thompson. The 85th win of the season for those Yanks. Thanks, Trev. With 1 out, here is Miguel SANO.
Alex Rodriguez has to be the biggest surprise of the season. I'm thinking at age 40, all he's gone through the last a couple of years, a couple of hip surgeries, and then being banned from the game for an entire year, and then to come back and to do what he has done this year is remarkable to me.
High fly ball. That's into left center field for Ghosts again, and there are 2 gone. Yeah, I don't know that anyone's even close, to be honest with you, as far as surprises go. I mean, you can't. I know he's a supreme talent, and we know what the background is with A-Rod and all that kind of stuff. But, I mean, to miss a year of big league baseball, that's pretty impressive to do what he's done.
And when he went to spring training, he had no job. He had to win a job, and then not only did he win a job, but he ended up batting 3rd the majority of the season for the New York Yankees.
Here's Trevor Plouffe. Strikeout, double play ball for Plouffe. Breaking ball drops in, 0-1.
That double play that Trevor hit into earlier in this game, the 28th that he has hit into this year.
And it might be the biggest at bat of this game, because it looked like the Twins were going to have a huge first inning rally, and that double play cut it off at just 1 run.
Agreed.
I mean, otherwise it could have been 3, maybe 4-0 going into the second or the bottom of the first, and it's a much different game at that point. Here's the 1-1 pitch. 1-2 on Plouffe.
Simon has done a lot of that today, to a lot of the right-handed hitters. That fastball anywhere from 93 to 94. He has gotten quite a few swings and misses on that pitch when he's been able to locate it up in the zone.
Up and in, and the count evens now 2-2. Eddie Rosario waiting on deck. Alfredo Simon has 2 strikeouts so far in this game, looking for his 3rd of the ball game. And a bouncing ball deep behind the bag at 3rd. Castellanos sets. 1 hopper to first for the out.
I see it, Nicholas.
1, 2, 3, 6. your home for postseason action with the American League Division and Championship Series. Don't miss a moment of the drama and history. It all begins October 8th on FS1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Still tied at 2s as we go to the bottom of the 6th. 2 runs on 8 hits for the Tigers. 2 runs, 5 hits for Minnesota. Swing and a miss by J.D. Martinez.
And Duffy still flipping those breaking balls up there.
Martinez got him for a double in the 4th inning, 1 for 2. Way outside to the backstop it goes. 1 ball, 1 strike.
And about 46% of the 98 pitches thrown today by Duffy have been off speed. 54% have been fastballs. And Casey Fiend loosening up in the Minnesota bullpen. He had a rough one last night.
Swing and a miss. Casey Fiend came on in the 7th inning in that game and had that 14 pitch at bat against Rajay Davis, which just seemed to take it out of him.
He threw 28 pitches in that frame, 14 of those to Rajay Davis. Then the Anthony Ghost walk because it appeared that Fiend was a little tired, and then Ian Kinsler ambushed the first pitch fastball for a double that drove in 2.
Fastball that just missed the outside corner. Full count now, 3-2 on J.D. Martinez. And he walked him. Leadoff man on. Tigers have done that 3 times already tonight. It's his first walk of the ball game. Big game for Paul Molitor and the Twins, especially after letting the 4-0 lead get away last night. They need this game here this evening to stay in the race. Tigers, meanwhile, have won 7 of their last 10, trying to finish up strong. Houston a winner today, so the Twins right now 2 back. Angels tonight will face Felix Hernandez and Seattle in Anaheim.
Mike Trout just absolutely wears out King Felix.
Probably not a lot of guys rolling around that can say that.
No, but he is one.
Big night for Castellanos, a single and a double and an RBI. The 0-1. Quickly ahead 0-2, like he got ahead of Castellanos in the last at bat. Nick ended up doubling. That's about as low as you can go.
Yep.
Fouled away. 0-2. The count stays on Nick. Castellanos came in batting over 300, 315 to be exact, over his last 34. He has added 2 more hits tonight, so he apparently is using the final week of the season to finish up as strong as he can. It's 105 now for Tyler Duffy.
And the 105 represents the highest total he's thrown in a major league game this year.
Ground ball to third, could be 2. Plouffe to second 1. Dozier had trouble with it, and it almost cost him the double play. 2 gone.
Yeah, Dozier looked like he had some difficulty getting that ball out of his glove, and then he had a difficult time of getting a good handle on it. Finally got that handle and flipped it over to first base in enough time to get the out. His feet got crossed up too.
Somehow, some way, he turned that thing.
Yeah.
Here's James McCann. You're talking about how Duffy probably making his last start of the year. It's always a tough situation when you've got a young guy who can really perform. Your team is in the race yet. You got to keep an eye on those innings.
And no one's pitching better than him either.
Swing and a miss, 0-2.
They've got some veterans on their staff. Phil Hughes, Urban Santana. And we saw Mike Pelfrey in last night's game, who was pretty good for 5. But you could argue that Duffy right now is pitching better than anybody.
Yeah.
And he's getting ready to get shut down.
Well, they have needed him down the stretch, and he has been really good. We mentioned his numbers in the month of September. His earned run average was awfully good. 2.19 coming in. Here's the 1-2.
Talking to his glove now. What's up with you?
I mean, that was a legit conversation.
I know.
With hand gestures and everything.
That was almost like whatever you go sleep on the couch tonight kind of conversations.
Like it's the glove's fault.
That's funny. He chastised the glove twice.
What's the matter with you, glove?
And he was animated when he was doing it. He's got to make up to the glove when he gets in the dugout.
No doubt. They'll be friends again. They take care of one another. There's a soft liner caught on a dive by Joe Mauer. That'll end the inning. No runs. A walk. Nobody left. And a little glove conversation.
He did it in love, though. In the first inning on a double play ball, possibly, which plated 1 run. And then in the third inning, a sacrifice fly off the bat of Brian Dozier plated another run. Tigers got on the board in the 4th inning. Miggy with a single. And J.D. Martinez also with a base hit. Castellanos with a double. And then you have James McCann putting the final touches on that 4th inning with a base hit, which drove in the 2nd run, score tied at 2 as we venture on into the top half of the 7th inning.
And we do so with Alfredo Simon still on the mound, and he will face Eddie Rosario to start it off.
How about the pitch count tonight for Alfredo Simon? He's only thrown 77 pitches, and the majority of them have been strikes. He's been really good tonight.
Very efficient. Had a 1-2-3 6th inning. Helped out by a double play ball in the 5th. And also one in the 1st. Rosario with a ground out and a fly out. Here are the numbers on Alfredo so far.
That's the important one right there. No base on balls.
High fly into left field. Fairly deep playable, though. And Rajay makes the catch.
Here's our high-speed pitch, and as always, it is brought to you by Xfinity. And top fastball thrown tonight by Alfredo Simon, 95 miles an hour. He hasn't touched 95 very often. He's been right around 93, 94.
Torrey Hunter with 1 out. Alfredo now has retired 6 consecutive batters.
Alfredo now 13 of 24 in first pitch strikes.
Hunter with a fly out and a line out. Big swing there, 1-2. Torrey Hunter's first major league home run was hit in Detroit. It was hit at Old Tiger Stadium, though, and that was back in 1997 off Brian Moeller. And here we are all these years later, and Hunter with 353 career home runs. That one just missed, 2-2.
When Torrey made his major league debut in the big leagues for Minnesota, it was as a pinch runner. And the guy that he pinch ran for is now his manager, Paul Molitor.
Here's the 2-2. He tells a great story about that. How they sent him out there to pinch run, and Molly sent him back saying, "You're not pinch running for me. Go back to the dugout." And Torrey, of course, was a scared rookie. He said, "Man, they just sent me out here. I just need to pinch run."
He told me to come out here.
Little rookie hazing there.
Yes, it was. Tom Kelly was manager back in those days for Minnesota. They've only had 3 managers in the last 25 years.
Full count, 3-2 on Torrey Hunter. Aaron Hicks waiting on deck. And he walked him outside. That'll be a 1-out base on balls.
That is the first free pass given to the Minnesota Twins all night by Alfredo.
And it brings up Hicks. Tigers about hit the Twins 8-5. We're in the 7th. Ground out, strikeout. Alfredo already has 2 double play balls tonight. Ball 1. Now McCann will head back out to the mound and have a little talk with Simon.
And Tigers might want to get a little activity going in their bullpen, even though Simon's pitch count is in really good shape.
Not only was that Simon's first walk, it was his first 3-ball count. That's why his pitch count's in such good shape tonight. Ripped to right field. That's a base hit. Hunter is on his way to second. He will stop there as JD fires it back in. It's a single for Aaron Hicks. 2 on now with 1 out. Now the bullpen phone is picked up. Here is Kurt Suzuki. He singled back in the 5th inning. Soft line drive to left. That'll be 6 hits now for Minnesota, 8 for the Tigers. Much better night tonight for Simon than in his last start when he got roughed up by Kansas City. His Previous start against Minnesota, before that one on the road, he gave up just 3 runs, pitching in the 7th. Tigers won that game 5-4. One ball, 1 strike. Right-hander Buck Farmer warming up. We're talking about all the coaches returning as well for Brad Ausmus. We had a shot there of Mick Billmeyer, the bullpen coach. A lot of important guys behind the scenes. David Newhan, assistant hitting coach. Matt Martin.
Yep.
All those guys are a big part of the staff as well.
All those guys are relieved as well today, knowing that Brad's contract has been picked up along with theirs.
Here's the 1-1. Ground ball, base hit left field. Hunter coming to third. They're going to send him home. Here comes the throw from Davis. It is offline. And Hunter will score standing up. It's an RBI single for Kurt Suzuki, and the Twins have a 3-2 lead.
That's a 2-seam fastball that's down that Simon's able to get the ground ball, but right between the shortstop Machado and a diving Castellanos. And Torrey Hunter at age 40, still good speed, able to score really and without a play.
Now Jeff Jones comes out of the dugout. 3-2 ball game. The Twins have scored their first run since the 3rd inning tonight. And there's still only 1 out.
Yeah, the walk to Torrey Hunter, and it proves to be costly in this inning.
Here's Eduardo Escobar. Seven hits now for Minnesota, 2 of them for Suzuki. That's his 49th RBI. Escobar had a triple back in the 3rd. He eventually scored a run on the sac fly by Dozier. Up and in, back him out of there, 1-0. Runner goes to third. Here's the throw. Tag. He is saved at third base. Aaron Hicks swipes third.
It's a good hustle play there by Hicks. And Simon apparently had forgotten all about him.
Now it's 1st and 3rd with 1 out. This will change the complexion of the inning.
James McCann out in front of home plate giving some instructions to as what he'll do with the baseball if Suzuki takes off from first base. Whether he'll throw through, whether he'll throw down to third base, or whether he'll just hold the baseball.
One and one on Escobar, and now the Twins just need a deep enough fly ball to get another run in. Swing and a miss. He had a big rip there. 1-2 on Escobar.
Yeah, split-fingered fastball. And it just kind of fell off the table once it got in the hitting zone, and Escobar swung right over the top of that splitter.
Bouncing ball to first. Miggy will go to second. There's one. Relay not in time. And the run will score. And I'm sure the Tigers will take a look at this. It was close.
And Miggy takes one look at the base runner, Hicks on third base, and then he tries to get the double play, going 3-6-3 variety. If you're Dixon Machado, after Miguel throws you that ball and you get the one out at first base, you being at second base, you can now see what Hicks is doing from third base, and if he takes off for home, then maybe you should consider trying to get him at home.
Paul Mahler now is going to want to look at the play at second base, apparently.
And take a look at the play. Well, when the ball gets into the glove of Machado, maybe a little bit too late. He probably wouldn't have been able to get him. But you have to at least look in that direction. Hicks got a pretty good break off of third base as he read that play when Miguel threw the ball to second.
That's a big run for the Twins now, 4-2. RBI for Escobar. That'll bring up Brian Dozier. A 2-run 7th inning has broken the 2-2 tie. Dozier double. He has a sacrifice fly and an RBI, and he pulls that one foul.
Last couple of seasons for Dozier against Tigers pitching, and much better in 2014.
Over 100 points better than last year for Dozier. Escobar draws the throw with just a couple of steals this year. That leadoff walk, or I should say that one-out walk to Torrey Hunter, comes around to score. There is more action with Farmer at Scorsalani now. Popped him up. First base side, McCann and Cabrera, and it's Cabrera to end the inning. 2 runs in, and the Twins take the lead, and coming up the McLaren Health Plan 7th inning stretch.
Here earlier in this contest, ball hit down the right field line. Ball boy picks it up. He gives it to a little girl, and then she goes and gives it to a young man that she was seated next to. And take a look at him and his face. And then he got a chance to take a picture with her too, Mario. How about that?
That is perfect.
She made his night.
Well, the Tigers in the meantime have given up a couple of runs now, and it's 4-2 in favor of Minnesota. And we've got a wall side windows pitching change. Lane Boyer will check in now for the Twins.
And Boyer has pitched quite a bit this year out of the Minnesota Twins bullpen, pitching in his 65th game. He had 17 holds, outstanding earned run average at 230, 32 strikeouts. He's walked 19.
He'll pour in a fastball that misses outside to DIXON Machado. Machado Davis Ghosts in the Tigers 7th.
And Boyer's got a fastball, slider, curveball, and a changeup. Doesn't use his changeup very often. And for the most part, he is a fastball slider.
Twins bullpen was unable to hold it last night. We'll see if they can do it tonight. They've got a 2-run lead in the 7th. Boyer gave up a hit in the 6th inning last night. Otherwise, no damage done in his 1 inning of work. That was an infield hit. Machado sprays it foul, back out of play. 1-2 on DIXON. Strikeout and a sacrifice for Machado. Outside, 2-2. There's more action. That would be the lefty Neil Kotz. Fouled away again. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Santana and Randy Wolf tomorrow in the series finale. Tigers then go to Texas for 3. There's Rajai Davis waiting on deck. And Boyer again with the 2-2. Got him at the outside corner, strike 3. Machado wasn't so sure, but he's called out by Jim Reynolds.
Suzuki very quiet with that glove. The ball appeared to be a shade off the plate outside, but the really quiet glove of Suzuki may have gotten that call for Boyer. And from Jim Reynolds, if you think catchers can't steal your strike or 2.
Great example right there.
You're being misled because they can.
Davis looks at a strike on the outer edge, and he also will take issue with that call.
Suzuki very quiet, man, behind the plate. Gets really low in his crouch, giving that pitcher a really nice low target.
Fly ball right field. Torrey Hunter is under it. 2 up, 2 down in the 7th. Now Anthony Gose. He has not had a hit tonight. Anthony is 0 for 3. A couple of ground balls and a strikeout. Gose drops down a bunt. It's going to be Suzuki to make the play, and he got it by a step. Tigers go 1-2-3 against Boyer in the 7th. We go to the 8th. Live baseball at bat is up to the moment at any moment with in-game highlights, live look-ins, replay reviews, radio broadcast, statcast, and more. Get MLB.com at bat on your smartphone or tablet. Or both, if you'd like.
You might be looking at it right now.
It'll be Joe Mauer to start things off here in the 8th. Mauer, Sano, Plouffe. And Alfredo Simon has gone back out there. He has thrown 97 pitches so far tonight. Mauer is 1 for 3 with a single. Strike one on Joe Mauer. .265 batting average for Mauer. Right back up the middle and right by Alfredo Simon in center field for a base hit. Another hard hit ball for Mauer. That's his second hit tonight.
And Mauer waited on this 76-mile-per-hour off-speed pitch very nicely from Alfredo Simon and whistled it right back through the middle. A lot of batting titles over there between those two guys.
That's true.
6 of them.
6 of them, right. Soon to be 7. Miggy on his way to winning another. Here's Miguel Sano. A little bit outside. 1-0 on Sano, who flied to center field in his last at bat. His ground ball was misplayed in the first inning by Machado, scoring a run. Sano been bothered by a little bit of a hamstring problem down the stretch, so he's been DHing mostly. And they expect that he will play third base next year. And really, I'm not sure. You look at his size, Rod. He's not prototypical, but they say he moves well for a guy his size.
You know, one of the things that he might have an opportunity to do too, Mario, is go down to Winter Ball and play for his home team, San Pedro. And DeMarcadis, that's where he's from. And they have a team right where he lives. But you're absolutely right. They say he's a very athletic kid, even though when you look at him, he does not look that athletic.
Another big swing there, 1-2.
Talking about Miguel and Joe Mauer over at first base. Between the two of those guys, they have won 6 of the last 9 batting titles in the American League. 6 of the last 9. And it's about to be 7 of the last 10.
Oh, that was inside. Apparently 2 balls, 2 strikes on Sano. Alfredo wanted it. He is up over 100 now at 103. Plouffe on deck. Did he go? We did not, apparently, and the count fills now 3-2. Leadoff single by Mauer. We're in the 8th. Simon dealing with the middle of the lineup for the Twins, down by 2 runs, 4-2.
Yeah, probably too risky to start Joe Mauer from first base on the 3-2 pitch. And we've told you Sano has a lot of power, but he also swings and misses quite a bit.
Pulled foul. Sano is only 22. In fact, he was the rookie of the month in August when he hit 9 home runs that month and knocked in 26. Started the year at AA Chattanooga.
Minnesota has some really good young prospects. Sano would be one. Rosario would be another. Hicks, Buxton, the kid Duffy who pitched here tonight.
Swing and a miss, struck him out. 1 away here in the 8th. 3rd strikeout of the game for Simon.
Alfredo still throwing hard. 106 pitches in. Still throwing 94 miles an hour.
Trevor Plouffe is 0 for 3. "28 double plays hit into by Plouffe, and that ties him with Harmon Killebrew for the most in club history in a single season. Killebrew back in 1970 hit it into 28.
That's a lot of twin killings.
Twin killings. See what you did there? There goes the runner, and no throw. McCann couldn't hold on to it, so Mauer has a stolen base. Put him in his scoring position now. An important run standing out there at second base as the Twins try and make it a 3-run game. Only the second steal of the year for Mauer.
And he had about 10 steps underneath him before Simon even delivered the ball to home plate. McCann had absolutely no shot at throwing out Mauer.
The 0-2. Fouled away. 0-2. The count stays on Trevor Plouffe. Eddie Rosario on deck. What is Rosario swinging on deck there? Looks like a pipe of some sort.
Yeah, it is very heavy. It's a weighted bat. Anything that can help you get loose.
Interesting. Remember back in the day they used to go to the on deck circle and swing 2 or 3 bats?
Yep.
Here's the 0-2. Swing.
Okay.
2 gone.
Simon continuing to throw that fastball upstairs at 94, 95. He struck SANO out with a 94-mile-per-hour fastball. He got Trevor Plouffe on a 95 four-seam fastball. Upstairs. Ooh, a little snappage, too, from Trevor.
Bat didn't break, though. So with 2 outs, you still got to get Rosario here. He's 0 for 3 tonight. Mauer at second. Rosario's put the ball in the air to left field his last 2 times up. And he sends this one high in the air to right. It's going to chase J.D. Martinez back to the warning track. And that'll end the inning. No runs, 1 hit, 1 man left. To the bottom of the 8th we go. He's hoping the Tigers can get the bats going here, down by a couple of runs. And for the Minnesota Twins, they've gone to the bullpen. It's a well-set Windows pitching change. Trevor May is on.
Trevor May's done some pretty nice work out of the bullpen. You see he's had 16 starts, but the majority of his work has been in the bullpen. His ERA has inched its way up over 4 lately, but he has 105 strikeouts. Only 25 base on balls for Trevor May.
Trevor May has been bothered by some back spasms recently. Wasn't sure whether or not he'd be able to go tonight, but here he is.
And those back spasms have been going around in their bullpen. And Glenn Perkins missed about 3 weeks with some back spasms as well.
Here is Ian Kinsler. May, their setup man, is going to have to go through 2, 3, and 4. Kinsler sends a ground ball back up the middle into center. He wasted a little time. Leadoff man on. First one at 95 from May, and it was shot back up the middle by Kinsler. Here is Cabrera. Miguel's got a couple of singles in this ball game. Singled and scored in the 4th. He's also hit into a double play in this game. May replaces Boyer, who had a 1-2-3-7. Ooh, look out. Cabrera backs out of the box.
Miggy has been leaning out over the plate all night long. He has 2 base hits. Both of those base hits are to right field. And that's all Trevor May's trying to do there, is straighten Miguel up so he's not leaning out over the plate. And there was no intent there by Trevor.
One for 6 against May with a home run. That one stays inside. Breaking ball that time. 2-0 the count.
As you can imagine, Trevor May being a former starter, he has all 4 pitches. Fastball gets up to 95. He also has a slider. He likes his curveball and he loves his changeup. Here it is, hit it. He might come right back with another fastball. He threw that one right by Miguel. Yeah, here comes another fastball.
Ooh, we threw it by him again. At 95.
What does he do now?
Throw him another?
Yeah, I would too.
Hadn't hit the first 2. May has not appeared in a game since September the 19th, so it's been a while.
Yeah, Miggy might just go to his emergency stance where he doesn't stride here, which quickens up his hands a little bit. See if he doesn't move that front foot.
Swing and a miss. He struck him out at 96.
Oh, how about that? 95, 95, and then 96.
Apparently the back is feeling pretty good. 1 gone.
May throwing much harder these days out of the bullpen. He's usually 90, 91 with a real nice sinker. But he's already thrown 4 fastballs in this inning, 95 and above. 1 to Kinsler, 3 to Miguel.
That'll bring up Victor Martinez. Singled in his first at bat. He's 1 for 3. That's his only hit tonight. The Tigers have 9 hits. Twins have 8. Breaking ball and a beauty.
If you're Ian Kinsler, because the leg kick is rather high and rather slow of Trevor May, I mean, you might want to entertain or thought of stealing a bag here. And Suzuki behind the plate, even though he threw out Anthony Ghost last night, he has not been very good at throwing out would-be base stealers this season.
Grounder back up the middle into center field. Base hit. Kinsler is on his way to third. Now he puts on the brakes, stumbles, and the throwback to the bag, safe.
Ooh, the ball beat him there, but the tag was not applied by Dozier. No doubt Molitor will look at it. You can see that Dozier's upset with himself because he knows he missed him.
Big break there for the Tigers.
Ian Phil barely got back. He never had the ball in his glove, did he?
Yeah, well, it looked like he snow coned it. Did he hold on to it?
Close play.
Yeah, that'll be tough to change, though, I think.
Well, Kinsler almost got caught, didn't he?
Yeah, he should have been out. He got back in there.
Yeah.
Don't think Molitor will have him look at this, although you never know.
He's got nothing to lose. They're not sure whether they want to challenge or not.
Yep, they do. So the call on the field is safe. That'll put Tigers at first and second unless they decide to change the call here.
Usually you can judge by the reaction of the fielder. And for me, just judging by the reactions of Dozier, who tried to apply that tag to Ian Kinsler, was one where he kind of felt like he missed it. And really no complaints, really no arguments.
Well, this angle I think will be a little bit better. Did he catch him on the back arm there, the left arm? No, I don't think he even tagged him. Clearly, at least in my opinion, not before he got that arm in, the front arm, the right arm. We shall see. Safe at second base to call on the field. It's big because the Tigers would have the tying runs aboard for J.D. Martinez,
who leads their team in RBI this year with 98.
One of those calls that was going to be reviewed anyway. If they had called him out, Brad was going to have to review. This is the enhanced look. Problem is, one of the right hand hit the bag. Another angle to look at.
You can hear the fans here in agreement with the initial call of Ian Kinsler being safe as they continue to show it on the scoreboard.
All right, so the Tigers have runners at first and second. Two singles in the inning. Now J.D. Martinez will step in. Two on and one out. Martinez had a double and a run scored in the fourth. He's also walked in this game. Blocked by Suzuki, 1-0.
And JD should be looking for one pitch in one zone. He's already seen that Trevor May's got some life on his fastball tonight. 94, 95 with all of his fastball.
Michael Tonkin warming up. Way inside, 2 balls, no strikes.
And pretty much playing JD straight up. If anything, the shortstop Escobar is shading him ever so slightly in the hole at shortstop. Straight up in the outfield.
2-1.
It's a good fastball there. And Suzuki's been getting this call for his pitchers all night long.
Way inside. Suzuki almost had that one go to the backstop. 3-1. Trevor May came over from the Phillies in the Ben Revere trade. Was a starter last year when he got to the big leagues with Minnesota.
And JD Martinez has done a lot of damage putting on the Tigers uniform, 7th inning or later.
Fouled away, 3-2.
A lot of homers, lots of extra base hits. He's been clutch.
Tonkin is joined by Jepson.
Yeah, Paul Molitor ain't messing around here today. He might bring his closer in here in the 8th inning if the situation presents itself for him to do so.
Fouled off, and JD stays alive. 3-2.
That's a gutsy pitch right there. A breaking ball that he was able to throw for a strike.
Blaine Boyer had a 1-2-3-7. Trevor May comes on here in the 8th, allows a single, strikes out Cabrera, and then gives up a base hit to Victor. Swing and a miss. He struck him out with a 94-mile-an-hour fastball.
Wow.
Boy, 2 big strikeouts for May here in the 8th.
The 3-1 pitch was a breaking ball that was hanging. The JD was a little bit out in front. And that's just a four-seam fastball right down the middle. Here's my best. Show me your best. And May won.
So 2 outs now for Castellanos. Well, Nick's had a good night. He's doubled, he has singled, he has knocked in a run. And he looks at ball 1. If the Tigers' third baseman can find extra bases here, it'll be interesting to see if they can score Victor Martinez. He is the tying run. He is at first base right now. Does not run well. Now May with the 1-1 pitch. Swing and a miss. Fastball up. That was the 1-0 pitch. Now 1-1.
Tigers are a pretty good fastball hitting team. But May has been able to throw some fastballs right by some good Tigers hitters in this particular inning. Wally Joyner, Tigers hitting coach, who's done marvelous work this year with the Tigers batters, along with Dave Newhand, the assistant Tigers hitting coach.
So May trying to wiggle out of this jam here in the 8th. He's ahead of Castellanos. One ball, 2 strikes on Nick. Pulled foul. And again whistled back into the seats. Now Nick works himself back into the box here. Tigers down 4-2. We're in the 8th. Now they're going to hold the ball game up here. Apparently a fan was hit by that last foul ball. And you could tell by the body language of Castellanos, he knew that as soon as that ball got into the seats, it might be trouble.
Yeah, Dave Clark, Tigers' third base coach, he has the best look, and he took a look over there as well and quickly turned away. You're right, Mario. You brought it up earlier, man. They're going to have to do something at some of these ballparks, man, with some of these nets and whatnot.
Well, the main argument is people don't want to sit behind the net, but certainly those that buy a ticket behind home plate have no trouble with it. I think it's getting to the point now where you just have to do it. You have to extend the netting at least beyond the dugout or the length of the dugout, I think. Because we're seeing more and more of these instances now. And we've seen a couple of them here at Comerica Park this year, but you see them at ballparks all over the country. You just have zero time to be able to react. So in the meantime, May will continue to warm up, try and stay loose. The count is 1-2 strikes. And now Castellanos will get back into the box. And sometimes, Rod, being alert and being awake, even that's not enough.
No, it's not. I mean, sometimes the balls get into the seats so quickly. One and two.
Just off the plate, 2 strikes.
That's the best fastball of the inning thrown by Trevor May. That one registered 96 on the radar gun.
McCann waiting on deck, hoping to get a chance here in the 8th. Singles by Kinsler and Victor Martinez. Outside again, 3-2. That'll get the Tigers a head start now. They'll start the runners. That could make a difference on a ball that finds the gap.
For Victor, for sure.
Yeah. And he's a tying run at first base. May trying to get through the 8th. Here's the 3-2. Rolled toward third base. It's going to go foul. And quickly, Plouffe is there to make sure it doesn't roll back fair.
And Trevor Plouffe almost pulled a hamstring trying to come in and get that ground ball before it rolled back into fair territory. Easy, big fella.
Well, you're not kidding. He's out of breath.
He's gassed.
He ran about 20 feet.
No, he didn't run that far.
3-2. May is about to throw his 23rd pitch. Line drive to right field, right at Torrey Hunter, who makes the catch. Hit it hard, but straight at him, and the inning is over. No runs, 2 hits, 2 left. To the 9th we go. favor of Minnesota.
And that brings us to Menards. It's our big money encounter. Last half inning, which was the 8th. A leadoff single by Joe Mauer, then a strikeout of SANO on a fastball up at 94. Plouffe, his fastball was 95. And then he went upstairs to the youngster Rosario with another fastball in the mid-90s that he flied out harmlessly to right field. Real nice job for Alfredo Simon here this evening.
So the Tigers go to the bullpen, and Kyle Lobstein pitching out of the pen these days.
And 11 starts this year for Lobstein. First time he's pitching out of the bullpen this year. Checks in with a 3-8 record, 610 earned run average, 30 strikeouts, 22 base on balls for Kyle.
Lobstein will face Torrey Hunter to start things off as we go to the 9th. It is 4-2 Minnesota. Hunter, Hicks, and Suzuki against the Tigers lefty. Swing and a miss. 1 ball and 1 strike.
And Torrey 0 for 2 in the contest tonight, but drew a key walk in the 7th with 1 out. And then came around to score on the Suzuki base hit.
Little chopper back up the middle. Machado. Got it. 1 up, 1 away. As promised earlier in the game, we have selected the Data Strong fan photo of the game. Tweet your strongest fan photo to hashtag Detroit Data Strong Fan for a chance to have it featured in an upcoming broadcast brought to you by T-Mobile. 1 away for Aaron Hicks. Lobstein brings in a breaking ball outside.
And first at bat of the night for the switch hitting Aaron Hicks, who is batting 7th tonight. It looks like he's going to turn into a real nice player, Mario. They might have rushed him to the big leagues when they rushed him to the show 3 years ago, but it looks like he's ready to take off now. He looks so much different to me these days.
Outside 3-0. Yeah, you mentioned they rushed him, or probably rushed him, coming up from Double-A. I mean, sometimes you just don't know. Some guys can come up from Double-A and make an immediate impact.
Yeah.
Or the minor leagues in general, like Lindor and like Correa. Other guys, not so much. But he has turned into a pretty good player, 3-1. And it probably didn't help that he had to face JV in his heyday.
No, that didn't help. He struck him out 3 times in his major league debut.
3 balls, 1 strike. Strike called. Hicks was on his way to first base and called back by Jim Reynolds. Full count now, 3-2. Tigers in the bottom of the 9th will have the bottom 3. McCann, Machado, Davis due up. Down he goes. Hicks out on strikes. 2 away.
It's a gutsy pitch there, 3-2. McCann put down the fingers that were wiggling, which was the changeup, and then the pitch was executed beautifully by Lobstein. That's a circle change. And that was fading down and away from the right-handed batting Aaron Hicks.
Here is Kurt Suzuki. Big hit in the 7th inning, a single to left field, which plated Torrey Hunter. That broke the 2-2 tie. They would go on to get another run to make it 4-2, and that's where we are here in the 9th. 1 ball, 1 strike. Drilled to center field. That's going to get down, a base hit. And it's going to be a 3-hit night for Kurt Suzuki. 2-out single. And now a chance for the number 9 hitter, Eduardo Escobar. Lobstein this year came off the disabled list on September the 3rd, was on the 60-day DL. He was sidelined back in May with a sore left shoulder.
Yeah, he basically missed the entire season.
Closer Kevin Jepson warming up. In there, strike one. That is 9 hits now for Minnesota. The Tigers have 10. One ball, one strike. Alfredo Simon went 8 innings in this ballgame tonight. Giving away to Lobstein here in the 9th. Fly ball, deep left field. Rajay going back, track wall, and that ball's out of here and gone. It's a 2-out, 2-run homer from the number 9 hitter. Escobar hits his 12th.
Lobstein was able to get the punch out of Aaron Hicks for the first out of this inning. And he came right back with that same changeup to Escobar, but he did not execute the pitch, and Escobar hits his 12th home run of the year. This changeup did not tail.
Escobar continues to add to his season high in homers. And it's 6-2 now in favor of the Twins.
Most of the damage done today has been by the latter third of their batting order.
Yeah, Suzuki 3 hits. You've got Escobar a triple, homer, 3 RBI. Bouncing ball to third. Castellanos throws out Dozier. And that'll end the inning, but 2 big runs for the Twins. They now lead 6-2. In favor of the Minnesota Twins. With an update now of what's coming up on Tigers Live postgame, we check in with Justin White.
Hey Mario, as usual, you'll hear from Tigers manager Brad Ausmus. Plus, I'll be inside the Tigers clubhouse chatting with the players, and it's Trevor Thompson and Craig Monroe inside the Coliseum studios for Tigers Live immediately following the game, guys. And before I send it back to you, let me relay a quick story of something that just happened. Miguel Cabrera was coming off the field, and a couple of young ladies in the first row here were yelling his name. They wanted a ball. Well, Miggy tossed the ball to one girl, and he actually meant for the girl right next to her to have it. And this young lady here, she's in a pink hat, a pink sweatshirt. She was all kinds of upset. She started to cry. Miggy got another ball and gave her one. She's holding it right now. Her mom is holding her, and all is well. Nice gesture by the Tigers superstar right there.
That's what Miggy does, man. He makes everybody happy at the ballpark. There he is. Handing out another. Oh, look at the face on that little girl. Thank you, Miggy.
And Miggy's got another fan.
That's awesome. So the Tigers now will send McCann to the plate here in the 9th inning. They've got Collins going on deck. Machado was due up, but looks like Tyler will pinch hit. McCann first, though. Ball one up high from Kevin Jepson, the new pitcher.
And big arm for Jepson. He has spent some time with Tampa and Minnesota this year. He's pitching a lot of games as well, 72. Counting the one here this evening, 13 saves and 18 opportunities.
Swing and a miss, 1-1. Byron Buxton is the new center fielder, which will move Hicks over to right field.
And this just might be their everyday outfield next year. Rosario, Buxton, and Hicks.
1-2.
And if it is, there's not a lot of balls that are going to drop in the outfield the next few years against Minnesota.
It's a pretty good young outfield.
Yes, it is.
And they have the youngster SANO, who's probably going to occupy third base. McCann is 1 for 3, singled to not get a run in the 4th. Tigers that time tied it up at 2. Fouled away. 1-2 the count stays on James McCann. There's Collins waiting on deck. He'll pinch hit. The recent surge by Rajai Davis has cut into Tyler's playing time.
Yes, it is. Yes, it has.
It's funny how the season kind of ebbs and flows.
Yeah, Brad's been going with the hot hand out there.
Bouncer hit to the right side. Dozier charging it. 1 away. So here's Collins. Collins for Machado. .250 this year for Tyler, 3 homers. High fly ball, left center field. Hit pretty good, but it's going to be caught out there by Rosario, and there are 2 outs. Tigers down to their final out now as Rajai Davis steps in. Rajai tonight is 0 for 3. A couple of flyouts and a strikeout. Jepson was acquired from the Rays on July 31st. They gave up 2 minor league pitchers to bolster their bullpen. And Raj looks at ball 1. Line drive to right, base hit. Davis now ready to go home. That is a 2-out single. It turns the lineup over now to Ghost, the 11th Tigers hit. Anthony is hitless tonight, 0 for 4. .21 hits between the 2 teams. Both sides have reached double digits. Rajai will take the base at second. At least he was on the move there, but he'll have to go back. 0-1. Ghost tried to bunt his way on in his last at bat. but Suzuki was able to throw him out. Rajay on the run again. There's a strike called, and now it's 0-2. Davis will take second.
That's a really nice breaking ball there thrown by Jepson. He's got 96, 97 with his fastball. That breaking ball was at 81. And with some nice action on it.
No steal there for Davis. Defensive indifference. Jepson ready with the 0-2. Swing and a miss to strike him out, and that's the ball game. In the ninth, no runs, a single one man left. The Minnesota Twins